All right, let's see here. Yeah, we might have some issues here. Let me go ahead and update the stream description as well. Revisiting Monster Hunter Worlds. High rank. All right, let's see. How are we going to deal with this technical difficulty without restarting the stream? Right, well, hang on here. That's the wrong screen. There we go. Here's hoping this isn't like awfully laggy. I think this version of screen capture is probably a little bit laggier, so we'll see. We'll see how this works. There's also a yellow border around my game now. Can I turn that off? I'm sorry for the technical difficulties, folks. Well, technology, indeed. We were playing this game on the last weekend, and we were having some internet issues. So we stopped the stream. I think we had some third-party music last time. Why don't we do that again tonight? World is cursed. I'm looking forward to playing some of it. I enjoyed playing it this past weekend. We were practicing, we were not even practicing, we were trying out gathering all of our materials from the maps themselves instead of getting a bunch of materials from the guild store, from the trader, or the farm here. Okay. So we're probably gonna try and do a little bit more of that tonight. How's this look? Everything look okay? That looks kind of juddery. I'll have to remember next time to run OBS as administrator from the start. How's that look to you guys? Legitimately, before we start and commit to the stream here. Looking fine? Looking good? Okay. So this isn't juddery for you guys? There's not like a bunch of hitches and stuff? Because in the preview it looks kind of juddery. Like, is this smooth for you guys? It doesn't look smooth on the OBS preview. I'm sorry to be picky about it. I don't want to do a whole stream if it's all messed up. Looks fine to you? Okay. I'm gonna trust you guys. Smooth, yes. Okay, well then it's probably just a preview thing on OBS. Whatever. I'm not playing from the preview, so it doesn't matter. Let's play some Monster Hunter. I guess here, give me one moment. One more thing to do before we actually start streaming Monster Hunter here. To this day, you've played pretty much every Monster Hunter except World. It's quite different than the others. Tries a lot of stuff. It's part of why I'm checking it out here today. I played this game back when it came out, but it's been a while. I have some impressions from back when I played it at first. I want to see if they still hold up. We just started high rank. We just started high rank last stream, and what we're doing is, like I said, we're trying to see what it's like if you played the game where you didn't go to the guild for as many of the materials as possible, so you gathered as much as possible out in the maps. We were kind of having some fun, I don't know, getting used to where we could gather around the different maps for things. I think when our stream died last, we were broke. We're still kind of broke, so I think we're going to go ahead and do a quest. I think we were doing a Barroth quest. We just couldn't get it to quite cooperate. Yeah, we were doing a Barroth quest. Let's go ahead and do that. I just put away some of the items we'd gathered. Each quest I'm trying to gather some materials for traps and some materials for potions and meat and stuff. I think right now I was trying to get god bugs and blue mushrooms, thunderbugs, sleep herbs, perish rooms, stuff for tranquilizers and traps. So I was trying to gather out in the maps, as well as some bones and ore so we can continue upgrading. I think we have some stuff on the wish list right now. Upgrading our charm and our kinsect and our insect glaive. So that's what we're gonna do here. It's our first high rank Barroth, a crown of mud and anger. We've gotten the disturbing report of an unusually powerful Barroth roaming the waste. Begin your investigation ASAP, but beware its mud-caked attacks. That one's not super clever. I've tried reading some of the descriptions in this game, and sometimes they're actually clever, and sometimes they're just not, and that one wasn't particularly clever. Cheers, Major Guns, thanks. We're listening to the Monster Hunter Try soundtrack. If there are any audio or visual issues, let me know. I want to fix them early on. Like I said, there were some technical difficulties that we're flying by the seat of our pants to fix here, so if anything needs fixing, you let me know. I'll try my best to take care of it. All right, it's nighttime. Like I said, we're gonna try and gather some things. We need some more ores, so we're gonna make sure we mine some ore here. I'm also realizing how many nitro shrooms I'll need for things like bombs, so bombs and energy drinks for that matter. So we're gonna grab lots of those. I don't think they mentioned paintballs 26. They mentioned the open world, but they didn't mention paintballs. Scout flies and paintballs are kind of a different thing than having maps or separated areas. I think most folks kind of like the open worlds. I don't mind the loading zone areas myself either. Never bothered me. Thank you, Nox. That's kind of you to say. Is this the Try character creation music? Mm-hmm. Yep, we're listening to the Try OST in the background while we run around and gather and hunt our first Barroth. I think I've already been to this camp area, but I just haven't like delivered the materials necessary to unlock it yet, yeah? Maybe not. Either way, now we've been there. Okay, bye, have fun, thanks. Like that music was just slightly loud, so I'm gonna turn it down just a little bit. I do feel like this method of display capture feels a little bit laggier. Oh well. We'll deal for now. I may, after this hunt, restart the stream if I want to fix it. I might want to fix it. Yeah, I think I do. We'll do a hunt like this. We'll see if it's bad or not. Aha, the pink Rathian footprints. That's the thing we're supposed to be doing for the story right now, is collecting pink Rathian tracks. Where is Barroth on the map? Here he is. Let's go get him. We'll gather stuff some other time. I want to try and get this quest. We'll go through this quest and decide if I need to reset the stream or not. I think I may. Ooh, more of the pink Rathian footprints though. Don't mind if I do. I need those. We're getting close. Almost done. We've been on quite a few expeditions now, gathering up our early high rank gear. That's kind of interesting to me. One of the things this game does pretty differently is it handles progression and how you unlock different quests and things kind of differently. And several points through the game, it just has you go out into the world and do quests, and it scatters around some tracks you need to gather in order to unlock the next progression bit. I think it's an interesting way of making the player do some other stuff and not really dictating what that stuff is before they continue on through the story. I know people who speedrun the game, like full game speedruns, don't particularly love it because it means you just have to faff about trying to find tracks. But I think for a playthrough where you're actually playing the game and you're not really trying to rush through, it feels pretty good actually, having the game just be like, just go play Monster Hunter for a little bit. Go get some gear, go gather stuff. I like that. It's probably not a particularly conventional thing to like, is like, I like that the game tells you to go gather tracks. Like, you know what? I like it. I like the game telling you to go slow down. We've lost our Barroth. The idea is fine, they implemented it kind of though. Gotcha. Now, where is our Barroth? He's all the way up there now. We're just not moving as quickly as this guy is. I think they improved on what they did with World and Rise. Though things like Mind's Eye became super easy. Yeah, Rise undoubtedly has some pretty glaring balancing issues. If you take every tool that game gives you, every skill that game gives you, and try and maximize for it, you can knock that game into submission pretty easily. But I think the core that's there is really good and does build on this game's strengths in a lot of good ways. So you're telling me this looks smooth to you guys? It must just be the preview. The preview looks awful. Like, just awful. I think it's starting to be a bit jittery. Okay. It's not bad, just a tiny bit. Looking smooth still, though? Okay, hang on. I'm gonna try two things here. Two things. For one, I checked out one of the utilities people recommended in order to be able to pause things like World. Universal pause button. This is just a utility that lets you pause any process on Windows. So let me go ahead and pause World. No, it didn't let me. No, pause World, come on. It didn't pause World. No! It's supposed to let me pause. It paused Firefox. Okay, never mind. I should have checked that it actually worked with World before trying it out. Never mind. I'm gonna really quickly take this down. I'm gonna take down this this stream and I'll be right back in less than a minute or two. I just gotta restart OBS. Apologies for the blip. We should be coming back up here. You guys should be able to see this now. It should be running a little smoother. Yeah, there we go. I guess the last thing I'm going to check is just make sure that we have transcoding, and then we'll be good to go. Oh, technical difficulties. I'll remember this the next time we switch and do something else and switch into world streams. Remember that I need to run OBS as administrator. It's weird. I didn't have to run OBS as admin for the first like month or so we were streaming world. And now anytime I wanna stream world, I have to run OBS as admin or else this game will not show up. It's odd. All right, anyways, I think everything's all good. You guys should see the stream now. Let's go hunt the Barroth now. We still literally haven't even touched the Barroth. We've been walking in circles around the Wildspire. But we do need the ore, so I guess it's okay. Also, just to be clear, you guys can see me now, yeah? Like, I'm back up. You guys can see this? Yeah? Okay, good. Nobody actually responded to me when I came back. Thank you guys. Cheers, cheers, cheers. Like I said, apologies for the technical difficulties. See what? Very helpful fish kebab. Okay, Barroth. Stop running around. I didn't bring nullberries? I guess I didn't think about needing nullberries. No stamina, right. I didn't think about that. At least we didn't get hit by the slam. At least you get Superman iframes coming out of that mud. I forgot you did. Oh. We didn't fail game. At least not yet. I think it must be going through the soundtrack randomly, because I don't think this is the normal order. Oh well, that's fine. I think there are some thunderbugs we can grab out here too. He knocked himself out. I forgot he did that. This is not running at 60. Really like the try rendition of the song. It's pretty good, isn't it? The monsters in this game sure like to roar a lot. Oh, uh-oh. You roared in the wrong part of town, buddy. Man, that made Barroth look tiny. Well, cheers, baby Rhino. It was nice to meet you, too. I hope you have a fun rest of your Christmas streams. Thanks again for the raid. We're going to continue on trying to get to grips with this game after having not played it for a really long time. Diablos left after doing that. That's so weird. Why would it leave that quickly? I guess we've been walking around a little while, haven't we? Just means we need to focus on killing the Barroth. I want that tail cut. Oh. That's our introduction to Basilgoose. Is him just walking in and getting insta-flashed by accident. Hi, buddy. Not a scary attack, but just him just getting dunked on. Well, nice meeting you. Bye. To be honest, I don't think I had the same experience with Basilgoose when I first played this game as many other players. Like, I don't remember him intruding into my quests almost ever. Like, I know most folks talked about in high rank how he kept getting into their quests. I don't remember that happening to me. Just not very many times. There's his roar. Are you playing with viewers? We're just playing solo, Infinite Engines. It's my first time playing this game in quite a while, or I guess this playthrough is my first time playing this game in quite a while. So I'm just looking to kind of remember how this game is, form some fresh impressions. It was mainly in expeditions? Okay, that would explain it. I probably didn't do that many expeditions when I first played this game. I'm definitely enjoying them in this playthrough, though. Yeah, no worries, Infinite Engines. It's not a problem to ask. Sometimes we do multiplayer streams, but it's pretty infrequent. Most of the time I'm trying to learn something about one of the games or practice something with a specific weapon, and I have a harder time doing that when there's a bunch of folks in a hunt. I feel like the more folks you have in a hunt, the more this game kind of, I don't know, it gets a little more random feeling. How do you play Insect Glaive? Haven't seen one in a while. Well, you shoot out your insect, and depending on where it hits the monster, you get different colored buffs. That was a green buff, which healed me. Other parts of his body will give me like a white buff or an orange buff or a red buff, and when you combine together those three buffs, you get a little bit of a buffed moveset. You get different attacks that come out of your weapon, you move a little quicker on the ground, have a little bit increased defense, that kind of thing. So there's a little bit of upkeep with the buffs, but it's like you get the buffs once and then you go ahead and just use the weapon for a few minutes and you have to get the buffs again. I think some people don't like it because it's sort of like an upkeep weapon where you have to keep doing that, but I don't know. It doesn't feel like that. It doesn't feel that oppressive to me. No worries, Infinite Engines. Man, this game... I wish this game ran better. Okay, so my buffs ran out, so that means I need to go ahead and hit his head with my bug to get the attack buff, and his legs to get the white buff. Different types of buffs come from different parts in the monsters. Red buff usually comes from the part they use to attack. White buff comes from the part they use to move around, so in this case his legs, and then orange buff is usually just miscellaneous. Very appropriate theme. And in kind, the white buff makes you move a little faster. The red buff makes your moveset have the proper animations and come out. Like, basically, you have some attacks, and all the attacks kind of have similar animations without red buff. But when you get red buff, all the same animations have about double the amount of attack of like hits in them, if that makes sense. So it's a big buff and damage when you get red buff. You basically always want to have it. And then orange buff in this game, I believe, just makes your defense a little higher. White also gives affinity. I can never remember what all the buffs give in every game because it shifts from game to game what buffs each buff gives. But in general, red is like it adds attacks and makes your attack higher. White makes you move faster, and orange is like a defensive one. Oh, tail carve, thank you. I think I see it up there on the hill. And you can get the red or the orange buff, but they sort of are their own separate things until you get white buff at the same time, and it combines them. It makes them a little bit more potent when you have the white buff. So white and red is more potent than just red, and white and orange is more potent than just orange, and then all three is called a triple up, and you get all your buffs. It's cool. I mainly am playing this weapon in World right now because it's one of the weapons that I think changes the least across the games it's in. It doesn't feel that different in this game from 4 Ultimate to me in terms of how you play and how you move around. And I like that. Sometimes the newer weapons throw me off a little bit, and so I like having ones that feel like they did in the older games. I would encourage you to Infinite Engines. Different weapons have to approach every monster a little differently than one another, and it means the game has a lot of different ways to be played. If you get sick of one weapon, you're kind of bored of fighting one monster over and over, switching weapons means you have to fight that monster differently, and it adds a lot of different new ways for you to approach the fight. I mean, I know that's true, Niflius, like there are things that are different between them, but I feel like IG is one of the only weapons where it's like its main flow of what you're supposed to be doing has remained just about unchanged. Most other weapons have had their main combos tweaked in small or large ways. We just finished the Pingrathi investigation. Nice. Like when you play IG, you're still playing IG just about how you used to play IG in the old games. There are new options and it feels more fluid to move around and aim for sure, but you're still playing IG basically the same that you did before. Nice, Danny boy. Heard the katana had to get a massive buff. It was pretty decent before, but it's been buffed 2 games in a row. Look how cool he looks all covered in mud. That looks really good, actually. Jeez. I missed. And I got hit. We're low on stamina now. Ugh. Don't get stuck in that. Missed him again. We broke the mud off his head, but then we got hit. I probably shouldn't be fighting him in the water at all, to be honest. We should lead him out of this stuff. Shoot. Oh, we're stunned. We're gonna die. That's that. Not only that, we got a huge lag spike when that happened. Jeez. Well, y'all get some beans for me dying. Okay. Surprised you didn't have a trap to set up for him. You know what? We actually do have a trap, so I could have capped him. I wasn't thinking about it. What weapon are you going to main on the PC version of Rise? I don't know. Most of the time when I play these games, I don't main any weapons. I just play all of them, which is fun. Honestly, making myself main a weapon is actually more difficult for me nowadays than trying to use all the weapons. Using them all is kind of like a bunch of variety, and I get to switch it up whenever I feel like switching things up, but I don't think I'm going to be as thorough as I usually am when I play through Rise on PC. We already played through Rise on Switch a lot last year, and so, or this past year. And so it's like, I don't want to go through and make all the weapons and play all the weapons again, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to stick with just one either. So I don't know. Oh, here comes Basil. I haven't decided. I wanted to main Hunting Horn, but it doesn't do enough damage. It does a lot of damage in Rise. Any of the weapons can be useful mains. Any at all. Some have a little bit easier time dealing damage than others, but all of them have strengths and weaknesses that'll help out. Ah! Is it? You don't see a lot of them? Seeing or not seeing a weapon isn't any indicator of how viable it is solo. Every weapon can clear every quest in the game solo. Like I said, some of them are have a little bit easier time dealing damage, but all of them are viable solo. Even ones that, like, people think of Hunting Horn as like a support weapon. There's not really such a thing as a support weapon in this game. It's one of the weapons that has aspects to it that can be used to support other players, but that doesn't make it any less viable at dealing damage solo. Iron Bow 1 versus Valhazak. I mean, even that stuff, even that sort of thing is possible. It might suck, but even that sort of thing is possible. I mostly meant just any weapon class can clear any quest. Man, yeah. I wish this game ran better. I've said that twice now, but I'm just frustrated with it. What is he doing? What are you doing? To this day, what's your favorite Monster Hunter? I don't really have a favorite. I've put a ton of time into Monster Hunter Freedom Unite and 4 Ultimate, and a lot of time as well into Portable Third and Rise, and a lot of the games. I've played several thousand hours across the series, and I think they all have different things that I like about them. Some of them have like strengths that I miss when I play other ones, and vice versa. There's not just one that I view as like my ideal. We should sharpen. This is going poorly. This guy just does not want to die. We gotta be careful else he's gonna flee. Some of the ones that have been more impactful for me, 26, in terms of teaching me really important things, being really difficult, fun experiences, influencing how I enjoy the other games, have been Freedom Unite and 4 Ultimate. Those are the two that I would consider probably some of the most influential to me personally. There we go. Jeez. That quest was something. Took us a little while to kill that guy. After you asked for help, 3 buff Japanese men came and destroyed the final boss. Well, nice. Sometimes getting asked for help is a real nice thing. Alright, I think we're going to switch back to the in-game music after this, actually. Oh, shoot! The new 3DS viewer is still running. Whoops, that probably isn't doing us any good. Not only that, it's hang on here. Maybe that's what's being problematic. I don't know if it is the problem. It could be the problem, but maybe not. Is it not showing up in Task Manager? What is going on here? I think now it quit? Okay, I think now it quit. Which OST is this? This is Monster Hunter Tri. I think it's randomized the order today in Biotech. All right, well, yeah, like I said, we're gonna switch to the in-game music here. I think I'm gonna use the bathroom, but then I think we're probably gonna go ahead and take on that pink Rathian. Cheers, Kaze. Thanks for being here. All right. I'll be right back. When I get back, we're going to continue on. Take on that pink Rathian, maybe. Just keep getting used to this game's high rank. Thank you guys for being here. Okay, I'm back. Thanks for waiting for me. Something I was really enjoying the other day when we were playing this game is trying to make sure I was exploring the maps and using each quest as an opportunity to gather some items that I didn't have back at the base, or didn't have enough of back at the base yet. So I'm gonna try and make sure we do that on this next quest, whatever it is. For whatever reason, getting to do a little bit of that around the map felt pretty nice to me. The other day we said our hunter was living off the land. At least as much as they could. Have you ever tried to log into an MMO during a new expansion launch? No, I have not. I did log into Final Fantasy XIV the other day to see if I could just fish. It did not let me just fish. And I only had to wait for a few minutes. Right? I think I had to wait for like 90 seconds. Because it was at like 4 in the morning. Well, thanks, CJ. Cheers. Let's see if we can upgrade this glaive, and then we'll go ahead and take on the Pink Rathian, I think. Just fish? I've never played that game. I wanted to boot up the game and only fish. I didn't want to do any combat, didn't want to do story, I just wanted to fish. It did not let me just fish. Hidden blast on this upgrade here. We've got the Zenny for it. Can we upgrade our charm? I think we need more Zenny. Yeah, I still need more Zenny for that. Okay. Still need a Monster Bow and M for that guy. Could upgrade this. We probably should do that, honestly. In the meantime, let's upgrade this one. Yeah, it's not super expensive too. Ooh, a blast one. That's really early. All right. Let's put away some things here. Yeah, so I think on this next quest, I want to make sure we're grabbing some steak and I guess some herbs and honey. Steak, herbs, honey. That's about it. I guess pear and sleep herbs if we can get them. Where am I going next to advance the story? I guess we have a ecological research and there's a question mark moving around there. Let's go see about that exclamation mark moving around. I think the game's running a little smoother now. This game always just kind of eats up my CPU. It's kind of crazy. Who's moving? Oh, maybe they're down below? Where is this exclamation mark? They must be down below us. Walking around. Yeah, they're down below us walking around. I was looking on the map like, what the heck? It's just a random NPC. Hi.
No.
Hey, I could use some help. Can you do this favor? When it's done, we'll be able to get new fertilizer for the tree. Thanks and good luck. I can deliver that right now. Why didn't you just say so?
Yeah.
A mountain of mushrooms, so now we can fertilize stuff. We're gonna be trying not to use the farm too much. I think we'll probably pick some stuff that's hard to find in the maps in large quantities to farm there, but for the most part, I want to try and get as much stuff just by gathering as I can. I think doing that will make me enjoy the maps and the game a little more. Because I won't just be focusing on this game's combat and the things that I do or don't like about it. Multiple aspects of the game are good. Okay, so I think now we have the quest to get out there and check out the Pink Rathian. We do. Is it an assigned quest? Tickled Pink. Oh, it's an Anjanath quest. A powerful Anjanath's been sighted. Their kind's the gold pink standard for New World monsters. We can't let this chance at an ideal sample slip away. Go hunt it. That's actually scarier to me than Pink Rathian. Off we go. Okay. Let's go ahead and eat. I hope you get it soon, Danny boy. Let's see. Before we head out here, let's go ahead and cook some steaks up. I wonder if anyone's made a multi-barbecue mod. One more. Okay. Run out here and grab some herbs. Shed meat indeed. Some more herbs over there. Okay, set on herbs now. Oh, Anjanath footprints. Okay. Got a shiny cactus over here we can grab. There's an NPC we can talk to as well. It might be a tail rider. I get the feeling it is. I think they're usually around here. Yep, just a tail rider. There's a mite seed back there. Worth grabbing. We get 2 of them because we're running botanist. Okay, and then down in here, there's a few other things I want to try and grab before we go hunt. Try and grab a bushel of sleep herbs that we can use for traps and tranquilizers. Maxed out on those. We'll grab some parish rooms here, and then we'll go get that Rathian. I'm trying to think, is there any other thing else I want to grab here? I don't think so. I guess honey, but there aren't that many spots with honey on this map, I don't think. Antidote herbs are good too. There's Gajalakas over there. Alright, Anjanath is over there. He's coming to the flower field. Why don't we grab those nitro shrooms and meet up with him? Hi, Barroth. I'm a little concerned about this fight. Anjanath is not one of my stronger monsters. Not particularly good at him. Let's see, he's going to be here soon. Where is a patch of water moss I can grab? There's gotta be some somewhere around here. There's some. Got it. Okay, there he is. We gathered some stuff. I guess I didn't get any raw meat. Maybe we'll get some a little bit later on in the fight. I missed? Hi. Because you hit my nose. Ouch. It feels good to get used to those Kinsect cancels. Using them to end combos a little bit quicker. Oof, I wasn't expecting that. Can I get off? Pins are so silly in this game. Should probably heal. Yeah, we should definitely heal now. Each move he does to us is pretty damaging. Didn't heal soon enough. Because he roared. It's interesting that this is your first assigned quest of high rank too. I mean, you go out and you hunt that Pookie Pookie. But since that, we've just been doing investigations. You said you occasionally play Final Fantasy XIV. I booted it once to see if I could fish. I found that I could not just fish, and I had to play the combat of the game, and I have not booted it again since. I probably won't be playing it. I don't know what world I'm on, sorry. MMOs aren't my thing. I wanted to see if I could only fish, and I could not only fish, so I probably won't play the game. This monster is so frustrating. Stop it. Why are you able to stagger me with roars and flames and dumb little swipes? Never been good at this thing's fight. It's like somebody took the things I don't like about Devil Joe and then just like kept going. Thanks, Kinsect. You'll need to reach level 15 to change class to Fisher, 10 if you started in Limsa. I started in Limsa because I wanted to fish, but I don't want to play the game's combat at all. My goal was to like be able to play that game and be like, I've never touched the combat, I only fish. I don't actually have time to play Final Fantasy at all, so I'm not going to go out of my way to play any more of it. I'm glad it's there for folks who are into it, and I'm glad that it seems to be an MMO that folks genuinely like and has good things about it. It's not for me. Hello, Sklump. How's it going? Welcome, Jack. How you been? I'm well. Thanks for asking. We're revisiting some Monster Hunter World. Earlier today, we revisited an old DS game that I hadn't played since I was a kid. It was really fun. We played some Mario Hoops 3-on-3 earlier today. It was an enjoyable time. You're working for the DS? How was it? It was fun. I had a really good time. The game we played was Mario Hoops 3-on-3, like I said, which is actually a Square Enix game. You're wrecked working 50 hours at work. That's a lot. I hope you get to rest when you can. He is designed for more defense than we have, I do believe. If you see how much each of those bites took off our health. Your friends have been trying to rope you into 14, but between Monster Hunter and Warframe, you really don't have time. Yeah, that's the thing. I just don't have time for any games that aren't Monster Hunter. Unfortunately, like outside of, I stream pretty close to 30 or 35 hours a week, depending on the week. Outside of stream, I don't have any time to play video games at all, and I'm not going to stream Final Fantasy XIV, so you probably won't catch me playing it. I like this as discovered Diablos. We've seen a Diablos before. It's weird that it wants us to discover high rank versions of things, I guess. But fishing, it wouldn't let me just fish. I had to do MMO combat, which I'm not interested in. Okay, he knocked us down, he roared. I thought he was gonna do a fire attack right on top of us and get us. I don't think that's true precious stones. Getting to level 10 can be done in like 2 hours. I understand walking out in the sun. I'm actually not interested. I'm sorry. I would be interested in being able to go into that game and literally just fish and be able to like wave at other friends who are playing that game every once in a while and be like, hey, look, I caught this fish. Go have fun on your raid. But like, I don't want to touch the combat at all, like at all. Cooldowns make me want to gag. Are you allowed to give tips for world fights? You're always allowed to give tips for Monster Hunter fights. I don't know everything about every Monster Hunter game. Any Monster Hunter games. Anjanath has a lot of counterintuitive attacks for you. Yeah, I feel like... So, I actually genuinely really like some things about Anjanath, which are his animation work is super fluid and a lot of the attacks look visually similar. That makes it frustrating to determine between them at first. But it adds a lot of depth in that you have to get really good at actually paying attention to Anjanath and learning its moves to be at the level of understanding in terms of what it can do and what it's about to do that you would be in an older game where the moves are a little bit more distinct looking. That was some fucking bullshit. But it also means, I guess, when that design philosophy of like fast fluid animations that look similar to one another is applied to a fight like Anjanath, where he's very bitey and kind of spammy with some of his moves, and some of his moves don't line up super well with each other, it can be kind of frustrating. Thought there was a rule against spoilers. Well, I mean, the kind of spoilers I try to avoid are the first time I'm hunting something. The first time I'm hunting a monster, first time I'm seeing it, if somebody tells me everything there is to know about that monster, I think that's a bummer. I want to try and, I don't know, learn what the monster can do on my own for the first few times. But once I've fought a monster, you're fine to tell me about ways that you would approach the fight. It's just like when I'm initially approaching content, I don't want folks to immediately jump in and go like, hit this part of the monster, it's the weak point, use this element, fish it out when it does this. Like, I don't want to know everything there is to know. Is how that works, I guess. We're out of puddle pods. I think there's some more in here somewhere. Let's find them. Hello, Churrito. Whoops. Whoops. Difficult and easy. He's too soft and too slow for you to take seriously, but hits hard enough and is fast enough that he can still punish you hard. For me, it's just like, because his animations are so fast and fluid, it really is difficult to tell which one of his like 4 or 5 different bites he's about to do. And when also some of those attack hitboxes aren't the tightest, it just feels frustrating. I think when 5th generation has monsters that have similar moves that take a minute to learn to identify, it's really satisfying. But when those moves also are really fast and spammy and don't particularly have great hitboxes, it just makes it frustrating. And that's how I feel about this guy. He's just like a very frustrating brute wyvern, and I don't really like brute wyverns in general, so I don't know. I'm just bad at him. I've never been good at fighting him. Rise of Anja felt like they made him a lot less spammy, is how I remember him. And like the way they have him inserted into the game, especially in low rank of this game where he's like prowling around the ancient forest being like an early game threat, is super cool. Like, don't get me wrong, I think he's pretty neat and he has a pretty good sense of presence, or especially in the early game, but it's just like the actual fight I find like not much fun. I think if you're good at it, it's probably fun once you've gotten used to all his bites and all his moves and you're able to game around his different, I don't know, his different mechanics, like his nose and putting out his fire and stuff like that, but I'm not particularly good at him still. So I still don't have a super fun time fighting him. His legs, body, and forearms take bubkiss damage. His legs take more damage while broken. Most of his trip topple animations last for half the duration. His wings and his nose and wings take a huge amount of damage, wings especially. Yeah. Yep, I know this to be the case. Breaking his legs is a lot easier in Rise too. We have one of his legs broken. Hello, Dark Pulse. Thanks for the follow. Cheers. The wings I haven't gone for. We probably can because we're Insect Glaive. If we get him out while he has his wings out, we can probably get some decent damage on those things. What did you mean when you said most of his trip topple animations last for half the duration? What's this? Slinger Bomb. Don't mind if I do. Sure. You're so bitey. You're so bitey. So that was a 2 bite. He did 2 of the double bite. So that's a double bite into a roar. Also, like the fire thing flinching you is quite frustrating as well. Double bite. Double bite. Anjanath takes a lot less damage to his weak spots in G rank. Wonder if it has anything to do with the Clutch Claw. Aw, the wings go away when you mount him. Oh, as they do on other monsters? Okay, I always thought you were comparing them to some of his other topples. I don't think generally monsters have topples that are similar to one another. They all have their own timing. Nice. Well, we weren't really able to attack the wings because they went away as soon as we mounted them. I guess that's good to know, is we should have just stuck with some aerial attacks. Nice, he's limping. So we're dealing okay damage. That much is clear. We don't have much defense. We would definitely be well served by upgrading our armor, but I'm not going to. Because it's going to force me to make sure I learn. Everything except for the throat flinch. Sure, that makes sense. They're really trying to force you to engage around his head, which is unsafe. I think the actual like design of this monster, both visually and like how they have the challenge structure in terms of attacking his head, not attacking the rest of his body, it's all great stuff. It's really just how they have his moveset set up in this game, where he just like can layer roars, the fire staggers, and like fast bites together to be really frustrating. Especially when there are so many that are kind of similar to one another. Are you allowed to talk about Iceborne stuff? Yeah. This is not my first time through this game. I have played through most of this game. Thank you guys for asking. I know it's you guys trying to be thoughtful, and I appreciate it. But yeah, no, this game doesn't... I'm not concerned about spoilers for most of this game. I'm concerned about forming some fresh opinions, some fresh impressions of this game. But anything you guys have to tell me so I'll enjoy this game more, so I understand how this game works better, is appreciated. Yeah, that fire flinch is super obnoxious. Single bite. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to do. He's cut the tail, and the Godlock has parried him. Cool. Nice. That didn't go as poorly as I thought it could have. Insect Glaive feels pretty decent against him because you can move around him so easily. Anjanath plate, nice. Don't mind that we got that. Toadstool. Don't think you've ever seen a tail cut animation get canceled that quickly. It happened, I'm not even sure. Maybe I cut it, maybe the Gotchalakas cut it with their knives. I don't know. That'd be kind of hype if they cut it with their knives and parried him at the same time. Could an elephant be trained to jump? Yes. Yeah, I think something a lot of folks have accused this game of in general is having hit zones in Master Rank that are worse to force usage of the Clutch Claw. Some people I've also seen argue that that's just not the case. I think it's probably different on a monster-to-monster basis. We'll wait and see for ourselves when we get there someday. What'd we get? I didn't even see. Whoops. Hi, Quill. Yep, we played some Mario Hoops 3-on-3 earlier for the Nintendo DS, and then now we're playing some Monster Hunter World. My World stream got cut short on Saturday due to some internet issues, and I was enjoying myself, so we're playing a little bit more of it tonight. Precious Stones World is the first game to have rank-by-rank hit zone differences. So that is not the case. Every other game has had consistent hit zones across all ranks. They have higher defense values, sometimes, and they'll have higher HP mods in G rank to make the quests take longer, but they have the exact same hit zones. Under investigation. Okay. How was the Hoops? The Hoops were good. I hadn't played that game since I was a kid, and it was pretty fun. I'd forgotten it was made by Square Enix and that there are like Square Enix characters in it. Researching. These icons are so beautifully drawn. I like that style. I wish this game had more elements of sort of that, I don't know, whatever that style would be. Hello, Polyvoid, welcome. Thanks for the follow. Looks like the Melder's been upgraded, having fought that Anjanath. Was that an urgent quest, that Anjanath? Like 70% sure that they've changed in the past games? Did you play off an original cart, flash cart, or homebrew loader? Backwards compatible 3DS homebrew software. Yeah, I was going to ask you to link us to something to show us that, Precious Stones. Yeah, the only thing on here there's only one set of hit zones on here. So this is the screen that Precious Stones just linked us to. This is on Kiriniko for GU, it's for Gypsyros. You scroll on down through. There's two, there's A and B. The only thing that changes between these is because of the head hit zone. Once you've broken it, it has a different hit zone value. This isn't high rank and G rank, this is before head break, after head break. Many different games and many different monsters across the games have different hit zones for once you've broken apart or when they're in a different state, but there are no hit zones in the older games that change on a rank to rank basis. That did not exist before this game. Before World, rather. What about the feet hit zone changing? That's really odd that the feet hit zone changes in response to having it to having its head broken. It's either Headbreaker and Rage, but this is not different ranks of the game. I'm telling you, that's not something that's in any of the games except for World. Is it in Rise at all? Rise has some messy hit zones. It depends on the monster. Here, let's take a look. So we can further look at this. Let's go ahead and let's pull up Mizutsune and see which ranks its hit zone different zones accord to, right? So if the ranks are supposed to be for different, if the different hit zones are supposed to be for different ranks, then could someone please tell me which rank 0 rank is, which rank 1 rank is, which rank 2 rank is, 3 rank, and 4 rank? Is it changing on village quest rank basis? I'm being a little bit facetious, but no, these are definitely for different states the monster goes into and not for different ranks in the game. There are not 4 different difficulty ranks in Monster Hunter Rise. There's not like low rank, mid-low rank, mid-high rank, high rank. Like, it's not a thing. No. Here, let's pull up a different one. Let's go to, one moment here. Let's go to MHFU, melee damage FAQ. Let's go all the way back to Free Me Night, which is a lot longer ago, but let's take a look at Gypsyros. Let's see what Gypsyros looks like. The charts are messy. So in Free Me Night, it only has 1 hit zone chart, despite there being 3 different ranks. There is a Rage Mode defense modifier quoted here, but 1 chart for regular and purple in low, medium, low, mid, and high rank. Let's go to For You Chronico and see what it looks like. Here's Gypsyros and For You. You can see it doesn't even have 2 charts in this game. Just 1, even though this is a low, mid, or a low, high NG rank game. What about Plesioth? Plesioth was not in For You, but let's go ahead and let's look at Zinogre. So Zinogre in this game, yeah? You can see it has 2 different damage charts. What's that about? Well, Zinogre has uncharged and charged up. You want something odd you want to point out as you were looking through hits on charts? Sure. Kezu. Hit data. Kezu takes 2.5 times exhaust KO damage after breaking the face. Yep, looks that way. If you're interpreting that correctly. Well, that's kind of the tough part, is that even in Generations Ultimate, which like this data here, this screen for Kezu on GU Chronico, this is a vaguely new website, right? Within the last 5 years. This is not labeled what these states are. Sometimes those states are before and after part breaks. Sometimes those states are unenraged and enraged. Sometimes those states are charged and uncharged. It kind of varies on a monster to monster basis. So for Kezu, I'm guessing it's after the head breaks because that makes sense, doesn't it? But it could also be based on rage state. Homework on the homework. Yeah, but to my knowledge, I could literally always be wrong about Monster Hunter. There are people who know so much more about this game than I do, but to my knowledge, outside of World, there's no other game where the hit zones change on a rank-to-rank basis. Clearly they do change based on different parts of the fights, but not on a rank-to-rank basis. I'm not even sure what we unlocked here at the Melder because we were having this conversation. Hello, Tribe of Tom. How's World going? You're just re-downloading it now? World's going pretty well. We just beat our first high-rank Anjanath, and now we're kind of talking about hit zones. What is this? Oh, no. 3U hit zones on the Monster Hunter fandom wiki. I wouldn't trust this at all for anything. But yes, Elatrian shot type hit zones are really bad. You want to bring Elemental Shot. They're all beneath 30. The highest shot type hit zone on Elatrian is 25. Answered all your questions. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask. Like I said, I don't know all of them, but other people in chat might know the answer, or I might know part of the answer and somebody else in chat might know the rest. It's always good. It's always nice to get to talk about this sort of stuff. Let's go ahead, just for the sake of comparison, let's go ahead and let's look at Anjanath on World's wiki and see how his hit zones change. So here's the Anjanath page. You get to scroll through a bunch of information before you ever get to the hit zone values. Here they are. Yeah, this is the only game that has this. You can see that, yeah, it totally just has Iceborne, just master rank hit zones for just some of the hit zones that change. That's so weird that's so odd that they didn't even change all of them. It's not like two different charts. It's literally just like, oh yeah, and here's the master rank versions. That's so weird. GU Raging Brachydios, yeah, no data. Yeah. Like I said earlier today, remember when we were looking at that Mario Hoops 3-on-3 wiki entry? It was like one wiki page that had literally all of the information about Mario Hoops 3-on-3. Imagine a game you like having one wiki page. That sounds nice. Okay, let's play the game, how about? Okay, we can meld for decorations. So we could make a fire attack or a water attack deco, that's nice. Okay, so we got a footing jewel. I think that's like a Tremorez jewel. There are some precious stones. Are you sensitive to spoilers about Monster Hunter Rise hit zones? Not at all? Okay, hang on. I'll do you one better. So, there is a fight at the end of the game. I'm not even going to say what fight it is, but here are the shot type hit zones. Head 5. When it's charged, the head goes up to a 43, which is nice. But if you scroll down here to the leg fin, that is a 1 hit zone on the leg fin for shot type. 1. Good old leg fin. What mon is this? It's the final boss. Which is why, I don't know, I'm still cagey about spoilers for stuff like that. Not for myself, but for other people. I'm not out here trying to say the frickin' final boss's name and be like, here's how you fight it, and like, that's not what I'm trying to do. Especially so close to PC launch. But yeah, good old leg fin. Hey, more busy work for the armory. Paolumu pelt and wing. Final boss of Monster Hunter Rise has a 1 shot type hit zone on its leg fin. Did we not get paid for that Anjanath quest? What the hell? Yeah, it is still finds a gun. Yeah, totally. And like, yeah, that does paint a picture that's like awful. It's not bad to fight. You just have to know which parts to shoot, and those parts move around throughout the fight a little bit depending on what's charged up. Yep. Yep. Yep, it's really not bad. It takes a minute to get used to. I would say the final DLC update monster that came out for that game is a little rougher to gun, or at least rougher to learn how to gun than the final boss is. All right, I think we're supposed to talk to, yeah, I guess the commission. There's some other dialogue down here though. That's really interesting. That little bit of progression, starting high rank in this game, where you start high rank and it goes just faff about in expeditions and quests and collect some tracks, and then it goes, here's a high rank Anjanath, good luck. That's cool. That's cool. Something I really appreciated about Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate when I was playing through it is that each rank felt drastically different in terms of the order they had you do things and the way they introduced monsters. So far, this high rank reminds me of that. Who am I supposed to talk to here? Oh, it's another wandering NPC. Hello. Delivery, Great Gyros Hood Plus, okay. Oh, the Research Commission, that's what I'm supposed to talk to, my bad. That's true. That's true. The Defender weapons do break the game. There's only like 3 monsters that can spawn before you fight Anjanath? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? If you go out to the expeditions, you can hunt almost any monster. Like Rathalos appears, Diablos appears, Tzitzi-Ya-Ku, Puki-Puki, Barroth, Rathian. There's loads of monsters you can fight in high rank, and like you can go to all the different areas. So you can fight high rank Odo, Great Gyros, Radobaan, Legiana, Paolumu, Tzitzi. Like you can fight almost anything. Almost anything you fought prior, you can fight a high rank version of before you fight Pink Rathian or Anjanath. And Basilgoose, yeah. That's a lot more than 3. I mean, they won't give you optionals for all those monsters, but the high rank versions of those monsters and their materials exist in the maps for you immediately upon starting high rank. It's okay, Lord Crystallian, I do too. That's why I'm playing through it, is because I didn't remember any of this stuff. Okay, we talked to them. Now we have to go talk to him. I'm sorry for mashing through the dialogue. Occasionally there's dialogue that's actually kind of like wittily written in this game, but it's not the norm. Yeah, that door seems messed up. It's fine, Annie. Loved how for you introduced IG in Chargeblade and Celtis. Gora Magara. Oh, I didn't even recognize that pronunciation. Yeah, the variety in for you is good. Cool. So we have a quest for Pink Rathian now. Yeah, the Defender weapons are actually pretty disgusting. If you want to enjoy 2/3 of the game that you've bought, you should not use the Defender weapons. If you want to learn anything in the first 2/3 of the game you've bought, you should not use the Defender weapons. If you want to have fun collecting literally any gear in low rank and high rank, which is 2/3 of the game you bought, you should not use the Defender weapons. No, you're good. You're all good, Dark Pulse. That's most of the series, though, Walk on the Sun. And there's something to be said for them starting fresh and making a whole roster of brand new designs. Just because, I mean, like, we're used to 4 Ultimate and Generations that have a pretty large variety of monsters, I don't want to discount when they choose to start over and start fresh. I think it's cool when they do. When you think about Monster Hunter Tri and how cool Tri was in the context of, like, they threw out most of the 1st and 2nd generation monsters and had, like, almost an entirely 3rd gen exclusive roster, that's pretty cool. World's pretty cool in that way, too. Even if I don't always, I mean, like, I like some 3rd generation designs more than I like the designs of the monsters in World, but at the same time, it's still pretty neat. Okay. Let's see. I don't know if I want to do that pink Rathian right away. That Anjanath hit us pretty hard. I feel like before I do the pink Rathian, I want to hunt... Maybe not the Apexes. So I don't want to hunt Rathalos. I don't want to hunt Diablos. I don't want to hunt Odogaron. I don't want to fight Legiana. But I think I want to fight everything else. What would Cedeus even be like without underwater, though, Amadeus? Also, welcome, Amadeus Linus. I don't know if I said hello to you when you came in, but welcome. Something like Nakarkos or Jen. He's just such an underwater monster already. It makes me confused to even think about what he would be like, but that's fair. All right, nothing in the box. Let's go ahead and eat before we head out on our expedition here. Ooh, that's a nice meal. We just unlocked some good meals in high rank, I think. Massive raid boss subspecies. I don't know. I would really like to see them bring back something along the lines of Jen, Moran, Darin, Moran, Dalamadura, Gogmazios, where you have to kind of deal with their size by climbing around an arena or climbing around them. I think that sort of verticality combined with World or Rise's combat would be quite good. That's a lot of food. It was a lot of food. All right, this is our first time in the Coral Highlands. Let's take a look real quick. What sorts of resources can we get here? There's honey. There's herbs. What are these snow herbs? I don't know what those are for, but I'm going to gather some. Herbs. Latchberries. There's two spots for honey there. That's nice. There's bone piles. There's nullberries on this map. Is there ivy on this map? I don't know where you get ivy. You might not even find it out in the maps. You might have to, like, curate it or something. I don't know. Sleep herbs are up in that area. There's some mining areas over there and, like, some of the spiral, kind of the caves over there. In that final area going up to the highest levels, you've got mining areas. You've also got some herbs and some parish rooms. So what do I want to get? I want well-done steak, but I don't even know if you can get raw meat from anything in this map. Maybe the Shamos? We should kill some Shamos either way to get their drops. Let's point out our expedition here. I think I want to go hunt Tzitzi-Ya-Ku. I don't know if we're going to get Paolumu at first here, but that's okay. I'm going to spend a lot of time gathering here. So why don't we go hunt the Tzitzi-Ya-Ku, and then we'll go ahead and gather after that. There appears to be a location on your map you haven't unlocked yet, far north. We'll have to head that way. Let's go find Tzitzi. The flying monsters drop raw meat. They're not wing drakes. They're something different. I forget their name as well. All right, here's some Tzitzi-Ya-Ku gashes. The flying horseshoe crabs? You can kill those things? Forget how detailed this game is. It's pretty detailed. Renopla? Or Refel? I forget what they're called as well. Was that Tzitzi? I think it was. Yeah, we don't need lots of snow herbs. Are paintballs in this game? Nope, you have the scout flies. The scout flies track monsters by picking up their tracks and will kind of lead you straight to them. I picked up some tracks just out of Tzitzi-Ya-Ku, and you can see some little bugs flew out. Normally they're brighter. I have one of the only mods I'm using just turns down the brightness on the scout flies because they're normally quite visually bright green, and I don't particularly like how that makes this game look. So you can see them there. They make a little floating trail in the air that I can follow if I'm looking closely. But with the mod, they're not so visually intrusive. They're still pretty visually heavy. Where is he going? I thought he was heading this way. I guess not. He's pretty quick. Some of the moves he has are quite quick. I remember it throwing me off when I first got to him in low rank. And some of his moves, like that move where he swipes at you with his back foot, pretty large. They want you to believe his thighs are like massive or something. Missed. Aiming the Kinsect in this game is so much nicer than a lot of the other games. We should sharpen. For aerial IG attacks, triangles for mounting damage, circles for mobility, right triggers for damage. Yep. I'm still getting the hang of the right trigger, because I'm not sure if the attack itself does the most damage, or it's like the second follow-up attack once you've hit the ground that does more damage. I would need damage numbers on, I guess, to tell. Little heals for my Kinsect there, pretty nice. Yeah, see how large that like leg swipe is? It's pretty crazy. Ow. The entire descending stress does strong damage on all 4 of its hits and combos straight into Tornado Slash. Interesting. I think I've forgotten it comboed into Tornado Slash. Oh, it sure does. Holy crap, that feels great. Cool. Only works in 4U XXA repeat. It's really not that different from that. To me, that's part of why I like Insect Glaive, is that the combos that deal most of your damage haven't really changed a whole lot since 4th gen. It feels very homey to me. That's part of why I'm playing it right now. I like how it feels in World in general, like it feels nice, but the fact that its combos haven't been massively overhauled or changed or had like huge moves that you have to use inserted into it feels really nice to me. Did they hit its motion values? I mean, it's not as strong as 4U or GU in terms of motion values, but it's still decent. It's fine. What they didn't do is they didn't give it some over-centralized move you have to use for the majority of your damage, as opposed to its regular combos. They crushed its motion values? I mean, maybe compared to 4U. I don't think they really changed it too much from GU, right? Hey, it's Paolumu. Yeah, I know this attack doesn't deal nearly as much damage as it did in 4U and GU, but the regular combos you use are still the regular combos you use. It's not a weak weapon. Look at its poor neck. What is it doing? It was trying to flash that Paolumu and it just couldn't. Oh, Paolumu, hello. Can you not? Goodbye. Yep, I was gonna say, this is the Tzitzi-Ya-Ku bully area. Also, hi, Ice Team. Aw, he's leaving. We could stop him with this piercing pot if we hit him, but that's fine. We'll just go up there and finish him off in his nest. Get our second honey here. I'm really bad at the movement part of it. That takes time to get used to, I think, the movement that comes from the thrust. Oh, he moved. That was gonna be sick. And you ruined it, Tzitzi. Yo-yo. That's a fun way to kill a monster. Got us some high rank Tzitzi materials, which was our goal. Now we're going to go ahead and gather around the map, get some bones and mining done, as well as some herbs and other stuff that we can pick up around the map. Never used it. It does good damage in this game. And once you, I guess, it does good damage in this game. I was going to say once you get to Master Rank, but you don't have to get to Master Rank to use it. It was added in Iceborne, but it does good damage in high rank too. There were some little endemic life thingies floating around that I missed just now. That's too bad. Thanks for checking on it, Precious Stones. Cheers. Okay. Yeah, let's go ahead and let's hit up some mining spots and some gathering spots, and then we'll call it good for this expedition. Try and make sure we get all the high rank materials we can. We'll grab some more Shamos materials too, I think. Speaking of. Nice. It's cool you can carve up a pile of materials like we just did there. Don't have to go to each individual corpse. You can just keep holding down the button and it'll get all the pile that's there. Nice feature. Okay. I guess there's another bone spot. Let's grab that. This map is so pretty. Underwater without the water. Yeah. It's one of the more unique video game landscapes I've seen in a while. This one and Rotten Vale. Like, that's another thing to applaud this game for. When you look at some of the other Monster Hunter games that have kind of similar areas that we've had through the whole series, even if they're cool, like, even if I love 3rd Gen Volcano, and I love some of the other areas in 3rd Gen, it's like, I don't know. Coral Highlands and Rotten Vale are real standouts in the series. They would definitely be some of the areas I would show somebody if I was going to show them, like, hey, here are some of the cool places you get to go if you play the Monster Hunter series. Not to mention also that this game is just very pretty compared to some of the older ones, but that's to be expected. Hey, is that Wyverian over there? I think it is. Is that Wyverian and some Gajalaka? What are you doing, buddy?
No.
Ah, we need our cat to talk to those folks. We don't have our cat with us currently. That's fine. Trying to look off the side of the map there. Not much down there. Where's the cat? He's back at the camp. Hello, Pelosa. Alright, let's see. Grab a nullberry. We can grab a few nullberries. Those are good things to gather. There is a Legiana on the map right now, but we're not, like I said, we're not going to hunt any of the Apex monsters. It feels a bit early. I know we fought Anjanath just now. I guess Anjanath's not an Apex monster either. I'll let a bit more of high rank go by before we take on those monsters for the first time. That being Rathalos, Legiana, Odogaron, and Diablos. Alright, what else do we want to gather here on this map? Sleep herbs. I want to mine some more. So I guess we're going to head up to the top. Because I want to mine some more. Yeah, that much is clear, Amadeus Linus. That much is very clear. Another nullberry. Another nullberry. Plenty of nullberries up here. This is definitely the spot to go if you want nullberries in the game, huh? All I can remember about this platform is fighting Kieran here and getting just destroyed. There's Vespoid over there. At some point we need to kill some Vespoid to get some bug carves. Ooh, interesting banding there. I guess we're seeing the vines there overlap with the camera. Legiana's flying up here right now. We're gonna have to be stealthy as we mine. Do we have a Gilly Mantle with us? We do. Perfect. We're gonna go ahead and make use of that. Don't mind the leafy garbage bag, the guy walking around mining Legiana. Right. They add a few mining spots in high rank. I like that about this game, is that in high rank you generally just have more materials out and around the map to go gather. Right, maximum nullberry. Can you head over and down through this area? I don't think you can. There is an area, actually, you know what? There is an area you can go down to over there, isn't there? I don't think I've been to that area yet in this playthrough. Let's do that. Explore the far corner of the map. I believe this area has a lot of good mining and bugs and stuff to grab. Since we're here primarily to gather at the moment, we will take advantage of it. And Dangler, we already had those guys. Forgot how much you dislike Ketchawacha? Aw, Ketch is so good. I hope he grows on you. It's just not a good monster to look at. Oh, he's cute. I love Ketcha's design. Oh, this is one of the spots where we had a line put in, huh? We paid for that recently. What do you guys think about areas like this where you never fight a monster here? It's literally just here to explore and to gather things. And for certain endemic life. Shoot, I screwed that up. It's not exclusive to this game in the series. There were areas in the older games that were just areas you went to gather certain items and such as well. They're very elaborate in this game, both in terms of their layout and in terms of the obviously the visuals. What's good skills to aim for when trying Elemental Charge Blade? Well, element attack up for whatever element your Charge Blade is. So if you have a Thunder Charge Blade, Thunder attack up is good. Having a little bit of guard can be useful sometimes, although Red Shield is pretty good on its own in some cases. Sharpness skills are still important because element does scale based on the sharpness level you're using. The higher the sharpness level, the better. Yeah, what a pretty area this is. Sushi fish. So desaturated back there. So very desaturated back there. Only, you can't figure out how to charge your shield. You've only actually done it once so far in GU. You have to do it from axe mode. You can't do it from the X and A thrust that you do it in the other games. I'd recommend loading up a tutorial from Gaijin Hunter. He will go over the different ways the weapon works in that game, in GU. Worth watching. They do a good job of explaining it, and then watching other people play it can be a really good way of learning how to use it in practice once you know all the controls. Like those no monster areas, sometimes the area lets them be a little extra creative with the terrain. Yeah, it's true, because you're not having to chase monsters through it and stuff like that. This particular area we're in right now has so many mining nodes. It's like expansive. Like we've kind of wound our way up from that little area down there. It's really impressive, to be honest with you. I'm expansive. I'll take that as a compliment, Fallison. Is Gaijin Hunter a they now? I don't know. I think Gaijin Hunter goes as he, but I'm not sure. If I said they, that's just because I say they by default for folks, just in general now. My brain has switched over to that. You'd have to ask them if you wanted to get their current pronouns. I believe they still go as a he, but I don't know. Look at this area. This area is insane. I think this is a Mellink's camp. Or something. Yeah. Yeah, if I spoke like that, my brain does that by default for folks, so you hear me say they for people pretty frequently. How are you today, Mr. Fallison? We played a Nintendo DS game. We played Mario Hoops 3-on-3 earlier. I'm going to be playing a new DS game every day for the next 12 days. Whoop, goodbye. I like Fallison. Hey, Kyrule. Yeah, this is a great area. Wow. I had forgotten how big this was back here. Truly. I knew there was a gathering area back here that like had some mining nodes, but like, holy crap, that's fun. What a cornucopia. Do you already have a list you're going down, or do you take suggestions? What do you mean a list you're going down? Oh, for DS games. Sorry. I thought you meant for something in Monster Hunter. I was like, we're not going down any kind of list. For DS games, I've already chosen all 12. And they are all games that I played as a child. We're revisiting them, and for all of them, I think I haven't played them in at least 5 or 10 years, if not 15, since I first played them on the DS. 15 years ago, this December, I got a DS for my birthday, and it was one of the first consoles I had, and it's pretty memorable for me, so I'm excited to go back and experience some of those games. I already verified that all the backups I have boot in the 3DS's backwards compatibility mode just fine, and even just booting up the title screens for some of them was super cool. Like, I hadn't thought about the music or the visuals in those title screens for a long time, so I'm pretty excited for the rest of the week. Some of them are popular games. Some of them are probably randomly like pretty unpopular games. They're just games I remember being interesting or being bad or good or whatever. So it should be a good time. A mixture of well-known and weird games. A couple games that I explicitly know are like glitchy and weird. So I don't know. It should be a fun time. Mario Hoops 3-on-3 was fun. I think something I'm looking forward to for the whole week, or a couple weeks, is seeing all the unconventional control schemes that the DS enabled. And so it should be a good time. Can't find many charge blades with real blue sharpness. You'll get them eventually. If you're still pre-Celtis, then you've still got a little ways to go, yeah. I think the full blackguard is one of the charge blades, the aura charge blade. It has pretty nice early sharpness. All right, I think that's enough gathering. I guess we'll try and grab some more sleep herbs if there are any others in here I forgot to grab. Looks like we missed 2 towards the back and some herbs. So we'll go grab those and then we'll go and return back and call this expedition good. Maybe we'll go to the Rotten Vale next. Hunt some gyros. Makes me hungry, actually. Not for gyros, but for like the food gyro. All right. One good thing in my week, Val? At the end of this week, my wife will be done with another semester of school, and she'll get to stop stressing out for a little bit. And I'm grateful for that. For her sake. Just got Rusted Greatsword on Free Night. Is it worth upgrading? I have no idea. That doesn't pertain to you so much, so let's consider that a bonus fact. Okay. One good thing in my week is probably the DS games, to be honest. I thought that up like probably a week or 2 ago, and I wasn't totally sure if I was going to get to fix everything up the way I wanted, but I got some scenes in OBS made. The DS games look pretty nice through the 3DS capture card. So I'm pretty pleased about that. How's Mario Basketball? We only played that for about 2 hours last, and then we moved on. We did look up what Final Fantasy characters were in that. There was Black and White Mage, there was a Ninja, there was Moogle, or Moogle, that you could play as in that basketball game, because it's made by Square. Fal, I don't know if you realized this when you were talking about it, but that game was made by Square, and the music is done by the same guy that did Final Fantasy XIV. Folks were telling us. Scroll up a bit? Yeah. Oh, you were telling us that now. Somebody else told us that earlier. Whoops. You already know that then. Custom Robo? I played Custom Robo on the DS. Was it Uchi? No. Somebody else. That's what I'm using Walking on the Sun. Yep, we're using that. For some pixel perfect, or at least as close to as close to pixel perfect as you can have on an OBS layout. It's a nice pixel perfect DS footage. No upscaling or blurring done by the 3DS to our images. Let's take a look at some of the item sets. Do you have Custom Robo on this list of games? I have not disclosed the list of games. If you want to know what game I'm going to play next on the DS, you'll have to tune in tomorrow night and try and catch a little bit of it. But I already have all 12 planned out. I won't be releasing them ahead of time. I was kind of torn on that. I almost released a big list so that you guys could like know what was going on ahead of time, but I talked with a few folks, and a few folks were like, nah, surprise would be more fun. So here we are, surprises every night. It's just drawn to life and scribble knots every day for 12 hours. That's it. You guessed it. Did I hear the Analog Pocket just released? I know it has pre-orders tomorrow. I watched a review video of it earlier, Walking on the Sun. It's insane, that thing. Like, absolutely nutty, that thing's design and feature set. You'll have to see if that's one of the ones I ended up going with, FPS. Yeah, that's the part that got to me, Walk on the Sun, is not that it's such a high resolution and like, oh, it's got like a super crisp PPI, but how they use that resolution. The screen, so for those who don't know what Walking on the Sun and I are talking about, Analog is a company that makes special versions of old Nintendos, like an old NES or an old SNES. This is their new version of a Game Boy. They can play Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance games, and the screen on it is 3.5 inches, so it's not much bigger than a regular Game Boy screen, but it's got a resolution of 1600 by 1440p, so essentially like 4 by 3 1440p, which is absurd at that size. It's 600 some PPI, pixels per inch, which is like higher resolution than, or higher pixel density than like most smartphones. It's insane. And what they're using that resolution for is not just to like make crisp Game Boy pixels, because Game Boy pixels are chunky, but they're using it to simulate the screens in a couple interesting ways. One of them is just like they make a grid that looks like some of the matrix grid of the Game Boy screen, which is cool. What made me lose my mind is that there's so much resolution there that they are emulating the, like, you know how pixels on an old screen are, or on most screens, are red, green, blue. They're little like red, green, blue phosphors that can light up in any combination of the two to make different colors across the screen. They are so many pixels that they are emulating the red, green, blue pixels of the pixels for the Game Boy. That's absurd. It's absurd to have so many pixels that you can just emulate the sub-pixels of a Game Boy's display. That's unheard of. Nobody does that, except apparently Analog. So I was nerding out about that earlier today, because that's just insane. I have no reason to buy it. I'm not going to buy that, because it doesn't play Monster Hunter, but very, very cool. Very, very cool. Looking at some armor sets for the monsters we've just fought for the first time. We have Jira Alpha and Jira Beta. Anja Alpha and Beta. No attack up on that. Adrenaline and stamina cap up though. Barroth gives Stamina Thief, Guard, Stun Res, Marathon Runner, Muck Resistance. Interesting. Oh, interesting. That's just the color of the armor that changes. Pookie Beta looks sick. That hood is cool. You look like a Tusken Raider. You look like a Sand Raider from Star Wars. You get Crit Eye from Kulu. Botanist and Detector from Shamos. Pookie B, it's cool. Yeah, it is. Gajau, Boots, Water Attack Botanist, Aquatic Polar Mobility. That's cool. Kestodon, Botanist and Affinity Sliding. So many points in Botanist. I appreciate it. I'm trying to get Botanist as one of the skills on our set, so. Cool. Those are the new monsters we've fought so far. Let's see. Do we have enough Zenny now to upgrade our charm, or have we not done anything worth Zenny? We've not done anything worth Zenny. Okay. I see how it is. Let's put away some items. All right. I think next up we're going to go on an expedition out to the Rotten Vale and see what high rank materials we can get from the Rotten Vale. But first, there are people to talk to in the trade yard. A hot-blooded fourth has probably a delivery we can do. Yeah, we can actually complete that one right away, which is nice. The pied bug piper. Quality insects flocked to quality trees. Let's gather a bunch to our ancient tree and turn this forest into a party. Thick summoner jelly. Okay, we should register bounties because I think we finished a few. Small monster culling. We're about to go to the Rotten Vale, so let's do that. And then large monster hunt sounds like a solid bet. I think I'm gonna use the bathroom, and then when I'm done, we'll go ahead and go on that Rotten Vale expedition. Never touched the actual bounties. Some of them are master rank stuff. Oh, the canteen's been upgraded again. We should eat here then. Normally I eat out on the maps, but we'll eat here at the Astera canteen. Looks like they have a new menu for us. I don't know how to respond to that, Nox. Except, you're welcome for making sure we got transcoding so that you can have that experience. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go use the bathroom. I'm back. I did get a notification while I was in the bathroom, Nox. Didn't tell me what your note said though. So one moment here. Hope the toilet seat is nice and warm. It wasn't cold. Thank you, Nox. Thank you for the tip. All right, we're going out to the Rotten Vale. Or actually, we're going to eat first. My bad. We're going to see that nice new canteen animation. Probably warm, Nox. This game's cool. Prefer your seats cold? To each their own. Best cutscene is Grandma Cat cooking you food. Someday we'll get to Celiana and see that. Also, Nox, usually you come in and say something about how I should shave, not that I look shaved. So I'll take today's entrance as a compliment. Whoop, what did I just do? All right, we're gonna go out and try and hunt us a great Gyros. Or you know what, we could do a great Gyros or Radobaan. I feel like I want to do Radobaan. I really liked Radobaan in low rank, so I'm excited to fight him again in high rank. It's a fun hunt. In 140p, my beard looks like line art errors. Oh well. Like I said, I'm choosing to take it as a compliment. All right, what is there to gather on this map? Let's see, on the top level here where we're going to be hunting, there's more sleep herbs, there's more regular herbs, there's some flash bugs and blue mushrooms, as well as a bone pile and ancient fossil. We might head that way. There's bone piles, more ancient fossils, some bitter bugs. Okay. You think bones? There's probably some bones, you're correct. There's some now. It's raining here in the Rotten Vale today. I feel like this place would be gross in the rain. Like, I feel like this place would already be kind of up in the air on if you'd ever want to be here at all. But in the rain, especially not. Wait, what the hell? This looks like a door. I know it's not a door, it's just a wall, but like just walking up to it like this, it looks like a door. It's just a rock wall, but it definitely looks like a door all of a sudden. It's not a door. Streamer's just blind, but you know. Is this a door? Not hunting him yet. Nope, we're here to gather and hunt Radobaan, I think. Don't end before you're home. I'll probably end in another hour or two, so you've got some time. Haven't decided if I'm staying up until 3 tonight or 2. Or if I'm streaming until 3 or 2. We've already been going 4 hours, so it's a pretty healthy stream already. I wonder if you can use the Kinsect to interrupt his rolls. I'm gonna find out. I think this thing's so cool. Yeah, I'm with you, Les. I like Uragaan okay, but this thing's really cool. Like, I genuinely really like this guy. When I fought him in low rank, I was like, this is probably the most creative design I've faced in this game so far. And I know it's like, it's just an iteration on Uragaan, but like, if you're gonna iterate on Uragaan, I feel like this thing does a pretty cool job of it. You can disrupt it with your Kinsect. Sick. Hello, Vanair. Bounce, bounce, bounce. I guess we should have attacked the other side of him, huh? Would you consider him a subspecies of Uragaan? I don't think he officially is. I think he's just another monster designed similarly to Uragaan. Kind of like how Baggy and Roggy and Jaggy aren't subspecies of one another. Even though they're pretty similar in naming and in shape. I'm not of that opinion, Nox. I think Frontier's cool. Close relative then? Yeah. And it does this move. It's freaking cool. Hello, Nefudis. You're gonna spike it with the intended game design? I wasn't thinking about it, but I guess you could. Do I have any slinger ammo right now? No. I can probably get some. Is he about to leave? I missed. You have a bug? Does the bug knock them down? Yo, that's cool. I didn't realize I could do that. I thought it was, you know, I was thinking to myself, it's just a scripted slinger thing. You can't use other types of like projectiles for that. Apparently you can. Cool. Mystical fossil. The key to an ancient mystery. Monsters can't do it? Aw, it's kind of lame. Apparently these are like Dalamadur's teeth, someone was saying. I don't know about that. Why are teeth hanging in a rib cage? Those don't look like teeth. They're large enough to be teeth, but like, I don't know. Those are ribs that broke, obviously. I don't know if any of that's obvious to me. There is something in the area that is his skull. Okay. Are they like the same as those ones? Because if so, how would teeth end up in his stomach? I guess, or like in his chest cavity. I guess we don't know much about Dalamadur biology. Yo-yo. Oh, interesting. That bone pile turns into like a projectile. That time I actually got hit. Oof, got hit by that too. That lasted longer than I thought it was going to. I got you, Martz. I saw what you said to look out that way. I'll do that once he's done fighting me. Ouch. Oh, his tail has an active hitbox during that. That didn't work. I think I just got a buff off of our Hornitar. I did. Aw, I wanted to roll that, and I didn't. Too bad. Alright. Marth said to look off this way. Look out from the Hornitar pool. We'll get to see some Dalamadur stuff. Oh. Oh. I was like, what am I looking for out there? And I went, oh, we're in it. We're standing in the mouth. This is the Dalamadur mouth. Yeah, these are the teeth. Rib teeth, exactly. So I guess we're in its skull currently. You can see up through its eye holes or nose holes. Kind of. Yeah. Pretty cool detail of this map. I do know the story of World Nox. I mean, like, as much as anybody does. As much as the average player does. Do you care about it? I think that I don't mind the themes they were going for in World Story. I think that the tone doesn't really do it for me. It takes itself a bit self-seriously without quite enough levity for me. You feel like because this is a place where things like, quote, come to die, it's no longer like a cool side effect of having an ecosystem above it. It's like a weird supernatural place where things get drawn to die. Is that the issue you had? All right, out of sleep herbs, or we're maxed out on sleep herbs. Where's Radobaan now? He's right down here. Okay, he waited for us. How nice. That makes sense, Nox. I understand that. I understand that complaint. Oh, hello. He didn't wait for us. I mean, it's both it's both Marts. Shoot. Where I believe this is something. This ecosystem is a side effect of all the things falling down from the Coral Highlands and forming this place. But also, it's talked about as if it's like a place where elders are drawn. It's not just a side effect of having an environment above it. Is I think what Nox is taking issue with. Oh, we got a mount. I wasn't even expecting it. All right, so we're on the back. Stab, 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 stab. If we switch down here, it is just a little bit slower on the tail, isn't it? Whoops. I believe the weird crystals are supposed to be their life energy crystallized to Nefudis. Or something like that. Their bioenergy crystallizes into the crystals of the Elder's Recess. That's why it's got so many. Because that's where elders go to die. Yep, we already did that a couple times, Precious Stones. I wasn't quick enough on the draw there. I don't know. I think that the story has interesting themes. Like I said, I think that it took itself a bit too self-seriously for me. Our guy's shoving the potion into his throat. I think a lot of folks have a lot of different impressions about the story in terms of like the details of it. Also depends on like if you talk to the NPCs, if you read certain item request descriptions and stuff. I don't have a full picture of it. I've had it explained to me by friends who are more invested in the story than I am, but I still don't feel like confident I truly understand it. That was supposed to be a Kinsect, not a slinger, but that works too. Shoot. Twice I've died to stuns today. I like Handler just fine. I don't think Handler's that problematic. How many times do we save her? I mean, I think them overusing that plot point's kind of obnoxious, but I don't really mind her as a character. Forgot we can climb up from this camp. You don't have to go down, you can also climb. Cool big shells here in the walls. Yeah, this map's super cool. That part's gross. Oh, I don't want to fight him. Getting bad vibes here. Looks like it's looking for its next meal. It does. Let's get out of here. I didn't want to come down to this level of the Veil at all. Yeah, I mean, I think other quest givers in the series have done a better job of being endearing to the player than the Handler, but I don't really mind her character at all. Yeah, Martz, I'd probably be more okay with voice dialogue of the voice work of the dialogue in 3rd and 4th gen, because I like the 3rd and 4th gen dialogue massively more than this game. The dialogue in this game is occasionally witty, but mostly self-serious, to the point where I don't find the majority of it is self-serious to the point where I don't read much of it, because most of the time when I read it, I don't get what I'm looking for. Occasionally when I read it, I'm like surprised. I'm like, oh, that's kind of witty. Wow, they actually put some witty lines in here, but like most of the time it's not that case. Actually heal. Oh, he's getting more bones. Let's go grab this shiny. Wow, we really flew far that time. It's weird how sometimes you go pretty freaking far and sometimes you don't. Whoops. How do you feel about the new monsters in Rise compared to the ones in World? I have a hard time comparing monsters design-wise. I think I don't necessarily always gel with like monsters like Anjanath. They're a little bit more like realistic looking. They're cool, but then when you have them in the same game as something like Zinogre or something, sometimes it feels a little weird to me. So I'm just okay with some of the designs in World. I like them as monsters, especially in World, I like them. But when you take something like Bishaten or Izuchi, I think that's more up my alley in terms of the design looks. In terms of the fight designs and like how they actually fight, I prefer almost everything about how Rise does fights. So I like how the monsters move around and the number of moves they gave to monsters to pull from in Rise, a little better than the ones that are in this game. Granted, this game has some fantastic new monsters like Nergigante and Volcana. So, I don't know. There's some good and bad in both. Like I said, though, I think in terms of design, Rise's designs are a little more up my alley, but that's just because I like some of the more cartoony stuff in the series, I think. It's not like I'm not okay with monsters that look a little more grounded, but like Worlds is real. When World gets grounded, it gets real grounded. Like Kulu-Ya-Ku looks like a bird. I don't know. I don't have a problem with Kulu. Anjanath really looks like a T-Rex some of the time until some of his other features pop out, like his nose bone or his wings. I guess Anja's really the one that sticks out to me the most, is like, you are really just like a T-Rex most of the time, aren't you? Yeah, Pookie's amazing. Like, you can't really blanket statement World's designs, but Anjanath does stick out to me a little bit. And they do a good job of expanding on it in Iceborne. Alright, we're gonna call that good. Did some gathering, did some hunting. It was a silver crown large. That's true too, Amadeus. I feel like both Izuchi and Bishaten and some of the monsters in Rise could have had more done with them. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in Master Rank of that game. Yeah, that's part of I think what sticks out to me, Hot Pock, is when you think about stuff like Diablos in the first game, or like Rathian, Velocity. I mean, like the other ones that look like that are kind of the praise, and the drones. They're the other ones that look really like just like real life dinosaurs, right? But for the most part, even when Monster Hunter has more grounded designs, they're not just like a real world monster. And while Anjanath has features that don't make it look like a real world monster, enough of the time it kind of looks like that I think, at least for me, I don't know, it sticks out as sort of a design that looks a lot like a real world monster. Yeah, Fulgur does too. Zora Magdaros quest availability. Right. So many events. That's so nice to see. Old world monster in the new world. Optional. Left quite the impression. So, we're unlocking optional quests for a lot of these monsters upon sighting them. Is that how you unlock most of the quests? Or like, all of these aren't assigned quests, are they? Like, there's not going to be an assigned quests to hunt a Radobaan, even though we just went out there and hunted one. This high rank progression is way different than I remember it. It's super nebulous, which I guess low rank isn't super formulaic either, but interesting. I do remember that, Nox, yeah. I remember capturing it unlocks the arena quests. What do we feel like doing? It's getting a little later. Are there any other monster hunts I want to do tonight? Let's see. We've already done Rathian and Kulu and Giratodus. I haven't hunted the Great Jagras, but I've hunted Tzitzi-Ya-Ku and Rathian. We can hunt Great Gyros. We can also hunt Paolumu. I think I'm going to do Paolumu. Odogaron seems cool. I'm saving all the Apex monsters for later on, so I'm not going to do Odogaron, Rathalos, Diablos, or Legiana quite yet. But yeah, Odo is pretty cool. Alright, let's make sure we eat. And now let's go hunt a Paolumu. That's true, Amadeus. Having kind of more simplistic or a little bit less out there designs earlier on in the game to lead up to some of the more fantastic ones is important. Some later hunts unlocked by hunting like 5 of X-type monster, 20 X-type monster. There were some conditions. That's cool. I'm into that. Mainly for the mantles. Interesting. Yeah. How they do the ground is important, Hot Pocket. Even something as simple as a Boldrome, where like it's a pig, but it's huge and it's got spiky hair and it's got gigantic tusks and it does not look like a real world bull, even though it's like kind of like a very grounded concept, right? Boldrome to me fits with how the series like grounded designs are better than Anjanath personally. Even though Anja has those like fantastic elements of the nose bone and the wings, like those only come out some of the time and they feel weird and like they don't really, I don't know, they don't make a lot of sense. It's weird. Have you ever seen a real life boar charging? No. No, sir. All right, where's that Paolumu? Rajang is a good grounded. I like Rajang's design a lot. I think he's a little more fantastical because he's a freaking large buff monkey. I think you don't like Anjanath. I mean, that's also true. Is I'm just biased against him because I I like his role in the game and that he is a threatening early monster, but I don't like how his fight works, and I don't particularly like his design that much. So it's like, he's not one of my favorite monsters, but that's okay. I'm still glad he's here. Like if you gave me the option to be like Anjanath or no Anjanath, like you gave me a button that was like jettison Anjanath from World, I wouldn't do it. He's cool. And be gone, Anjanath. I don't think Zamtrios is very grounded, personally. It's like a giant shark with 4 legs. Something like Boldrum is very grounded. Something like Diablos is okay grounded, but it's kind of more out there. I don't know. So many of those things are so much more grounded than Anjanath, or so much more out there than Anjanath, sorry, rather. Where's Paolumu? No, that's not Paolumu, that's a Shamos. Holy hit stop. I should have known better than to jump into that. Super long, persistent hitbox on that move. Cheater. That could have been aimed a little better. Work in progress. That's cool. What's everyone's favorite large monster in Elder Dragon? My favorite large monster has been Nargacuga for a really long time. Favorite Elder Dragon's a tough question. Jen's a pretty great answer. I really like Gen 2. Favorite Elder Dragon? It is a pretty hard question. Everyone has like a favorite monster pretty much ready, right? But like favorite Elder Dragon's a tough question, not often asked. Probably a Matsu? A Matsu? A Matsu's pretty cool. Yeah, a Matsu. Ruki Diora. World Kieran. Not old Kieran, just World Kieran. I guess we weren't necessarily just saying like favorite fights, but I get you. I understand these two. It took me a second to get what you meant. I was thinking less about individual fight, although that has something to do with it too, but just like favorite design. Not even because of the fight. Yow. What's your reasoning behind World Kieran then, Ice-T? I'm curious. The particles in this game are pretty cool. Just looking at the insect particles that spawn around you when you get buffs, so neat. That's frustrating. Ow. Weather, environmental change. Could you describe that? I haven't fought one in the world in a long time. Place becomes dark, Kieran is bright with lightning. Gotcha. Map setting is set to a thunderstorm, Kieran hunts. Okay. That's what I thought you were describing, but it's been a long time since I've fought World Kieran. Like years, so I couldn't remember. World was only my second game in the series, so I had not experienced a whole lot of Monster Hunter at that point. I didn't play through everything super thoroughly, do a whole bunch of fights a lot of times. I don't even know if I fought Basilgeuse the first time I played World. It's not up there, is it? No. I have some memories of stuff like that too, Dark Pulse, of specific hunts I watched on YouTube that made me want to start doing stuff like this. Gore is much bigger difference with tonal shifts than World Kieran. Well, I mean, maybe you. It's okay. Yeah, Gore's pretty cool. Some people really do like Lavasiath. Where is this dumb... There it is. Gyps Roast is cool. I get that. I was gonna try and jump over that tail. Did not work out. I don't understand this thing's aerial moveset at all. There's like 4 moves in the air. It has like 4 moves? It seems like more than that. Just fun, just about a lot. Yeah. I feel like I have a hard time paying attention in this game. That's cool that the Kinsect like shoots through monsters with multi-hits to finish off. Like, what? Hang on. That's sick, actually. Why does it do that? It can do big damage on a slow Kinsect? That's interesting. I don't think I was even aware of that property of that move. What do you mean a bug? Wait, I'm confused by the request, Incognito. Oh, no, it's a part of the move? Yeah, I've ascertained that. On a slow Kinsect that does more ticks. Fish Kebab just said that too. Yep. It's very interesting. I was unaware of that. Did not know that move functioned like that. That's very cool. It probably makes that move a little too good. You have stream delay? You're all good. You don't have chat delay. Oh, you fixed a few bugs from Capcom? Oh, they just want your bug fixes and nothing else. I gotcha. Interesting. I appreciate you guys describing them. I appreciate you guys describing the move, Nox. Yeah. Honestly, getting more used to that move. It feels too good. Which is a bummer. I don't want Insect Glaive to have a move like that. Oops. Well, can't do that. Do it to Rist or Yokumo, Hot Pocket. Whoa. It's kind of weird. Back roll. Nope, back roll wasn't even enough. Try not to use Clutch Claw? No, we're not using the Clutch Claw at all so far. Yeah, like thinking about trying to use it is like, I don't know. I don't even want to describe how I'm feeling about it right now. Trying to maintain like uptime on it in a way that's like useful kills monsters too quickly in ways that I don't find fun. I don't find ramming monsters into walls super fun. I don't find doing little QTEs on the monster where you latch on and like soften a part up super fun. And that's like how you use that thing optimally, is doing lots of both of those things. It's like I don't think either of those things are interesting. At some point in the game I'll use it. I'll probably use it when we get to Master Rank. But we'll see. First time I played through Master Rank, I didn't use the claw until like around the time I got to the Guiding Lands. Or like up until around that point. So for a lot of Master Rank, I just didn't use it. Kind of like Wyvern Riding? I have some interesting thoughts about that, actually. Or at least I think, why not? I didn't like it, and I didn't want to learn how. It's fun. I hate everything about it, Ice-T. I'm sorry. I find literally none of it fun. Yep. I like that your character pulses the 3 different colors from the buffs. It's neat. Ow. I wasn't watching closely enough. Clutch Claw isn't forced, though you don't need to use it. A lot of the monsters in Master Rank have their hit zones tailored so that you kind of have to if you want to be dealing anywhere near as like much comparable damage as you were in high rank to them. At least that's the common opinion I see from a lot of folks. I haven't used the Clutch Claw and I haven't fought Master Rank monsters in a long time, so I'm reserving judgment on that. I guess here's a brief summary of why I prefer the Wyvern Riding in Rise. Is Even though it's forced, I really dislike that it's forced, to be clear. Like, I really, really wish it wasn't. I think it'd be really close to an ideal kind of system in Rise if it wasn't forced. The reason I like it is you've got more choices for what you do when you have to get on a Wyvern ride. You can move the monster around the map, you can fight another monster if you want shinies, or if you want to damage another monster, you can bang against the wall, you can drop off, etc. It's not spammable. You can attack a monster from the air, and you can use soak binds all you want, but you can't do it more than once every 10 minutes. Whereas between mounts and claggers and wallbangs and tenderizing in this game, if you use all those systems on top of each other, you can be doing that all the time. Well, I mean, Fisha has a hard cap for 10 minutes, whereas like in this game, this stuff you can be spamming it like just every like 30 seconds. I'm not doing well against this Paolumu. Like I said, sometimes I have a hard time paying attention in this game. So I really like it because it takes 3 or 4 different systems in this game. I usually don't like cooldowns. I don't like abilities on cooldowns. When it comes to something that I think that you shouldn't be able to do too often because it's super advantageous. Or I guess, I'm not going to get on that tangent, Marth, I'm sorry. But Wyvern riding takes 2 or 3 different disparate systems in this game, being mounts and wallbangs and claggers and tenderizing the monster, and it just combines all of those into literally one mechanic. One mechanic that happens at most once every 10 minutes. So that's why I prefer it, but neither is perfect. Yeah, I think the claw is probably honestly in a better place now, because a lot of my gripes around it were based off of if you play a light weapon and you want to like try and feel like you're using it to the best of your ability, you have to be reapplying it every like 45 seconds or so. Being forced, like if you want to maintain a hit zone on a part of the monster, let's say you want to keep their head tenderized or something, you have to be hitting that attack with a QTE where you latch onto the monster, or a special move like Dual Blades Roll On, or Sword and Shield's Roll On, every 45 seconds. And I know it's better now, but for the entire life cycle of when most people were playing this game up until now, it was not better. It was pretty worse. It was pretty bad. I don't know. Oh, it left the area. Wow, I really suck. Ice-T knew. Well... Back we go. I go through big up and downs with this game. I'm trying to revisit this game because I genuinely think that this game trying so many new things and being so popular is a pretty important game in the series, but I have times where I sit here and I play it and I enjoy it, and I have times where I sit here and I play it and I'm like, this just isn't very fun. Well, gonna sell some stuff real quick. Let's go upgrade our charm. Been looking forward to using Zenny to upgrade it most of the night. There's a mod for true odd values. We're going to use it. No. Well, this has been another visit to World. I think I'm gonna call it there. We've been going for right about 5 hours now. I'm getting a little tired out. Having a harder time paying attention to the game than I should. So I'm probably gonna go ahead and call it and get some rest. Tonight we played a little bit of a Nintendo DS game, and then we played some of this game. Tomorrow I think we're gonna be playing another DS game to start off the stream. Another 12 days of NDS. And then after that, I think we're gonna play some 3 Ultimate. Head back into our main game there. Keep working on our high rank village progression. Sorry, I can't always be more positive about this game. There's things I was really enjoying experiencing in it, and I think a lot of the time interacting with the combat isn't one of those things. I'm gonna go ahead and find somebody else to raid on Twitch here. Someone else who's playing Monster Hunter. Who's on here? I guess we do have a Discord and a YouTube and a Twitter you can check out. There's some links in the chat to those. I'm checking through some Monster Hunter categories here, seeing who's streaming what. We're just ending, Danny boy. I'm glad you made it back alive, though. I think we're gonna raid someone named Niacynth. They're playing, or actually, yeah, we're gonna raid. Why is Hamslayer streaming GU under Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl? Did you finish Freedom? We finished Low Rank Village in Freedom. We're mainly playing Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate as our main game right now. We're probably gonna raid Hamslayer, but why are they streaming in the Pokemon category? That doesn't make any sense. I'm waiting through an ad to make sure they're actually streaming Monster Hunter and not Pokemon. Yeah, they're streaming GU. What the hell? Anyways, enjoy the Hamslayer stream, playing GU. We'll be back with more of this game, I think, this coming Saturday. So if you like watching me try and enjoy this game, try and figure out the things I enjoy and don't enjoy about it, feel free and tune back in then. I don't know. It's so interesting getting to play this game and noticing things like the progression being super unique and being like, this is really cool. I kind of like this. And then also dip into some fights and be like, I don't like this. It's just odd. It's kind of like a weird trailing off note to end on, but I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hope you guys have a nice night or a good day, whatever time it is where you are. Cheers. Happy hunting. Enjoy Hamslayer stream, and I'll see you guys next time. See you guys tomorrow for some more Nintendo DS games. Good night.